In 1939, as the world braced for war, the Soviet Union, a titan of 170 million people, turned its eyes to its tiny neighbor, Finland. A young democracy of just 4 million, armed with little more than courage, Stalin demanded their land for military bases, offering a worthless swap. He expected a quick surrender, but from the small nation came a defiant answer that would echo through history. No. On November 30th, 500,000 Soviet soldiers, thousands of tanks, and waves of bombers stormed across the border. Stalin's generals promised to take Helsinki in 2 weeks. They were wrong. This was the start of the Winter War. The Red Army was prepared for a conventional war. They were not prepared for Finland, and they were not prepared for general winter. Temperatures plunged to -40 degrees. Engines froze. Weapons failed. Soviet soldiers, in their thin uniforms, began to freeze to death. But for the Finns, the winter was an ally. They moved like ghosts through the forests on skis, dressed in white camouflage. They didn't fight the Soviets head-on. They hunted them. They invented a new kind of warfare, born from the snow and the trees. They called it Motti tactics, the word for a pile of logs, ready to be chopped. Finnish ski troops would strike the column, destroying the lead and rear vehicles, trapping entire divisions in the frozen forest. Then, they would vanish back into the trees, leaving the Soviets isolated, starving, and surrounded. For days, the Finns would harass the Motti, picking off soldiers one by one, until the time was right for the final assault. And from this ghostly warfare, legends were born. None more feared than a simple farmer named Simo Häyhä. The Soviets called him the White Death. Using only his rifle with no scope, he recorded over 500 confirmed kills in just 100 days. He would camouflage himself in the snow, holding snow in his mouth to hide the fog of his breath, waiting for hours in the bitter cold. When the Soviet tanks came, the Finns had no anti-tank guns, so they invented their own solution, a simple bottle of fuel with a burning rag. They nicknamed it the Molotov Cocktail, a personal drink for the Soviet foreign minister. These weapons, thrown by brave men at close range, were devastatingly effective against the early Soviet tanks. For 105 days, the Finns performed miracles. But courage could not hold back the endless Soviet reserves forever. In March 1940, facing annihilation, Finland signed a peace treaty. They lost 11% of their land, but they had saved their nation. They had lost the war, but they had won their freedom. However, the story doesn't end there. The Winter War had a secret, terrible legacy. Watching from Berlin, Adolf Hitler saw the Red Army's pathetic performance and concluded that the Soviet Union was a colossus with feet of clay. This fatal miscalculation would encourage him to launch Operation Barbarossa. And so, the forgotten war you were never taught in school, a small nation's fight for survival, secretly set the stage for the largest and bloodiest conflict in human history. To uncover more forgotten stories that shaped our world, subscribe to History's Secrets.